So guys, I'm going to show you what I feel is the best way to work tech units into your deck and effectively transition that into somehow going double harvester. Now, if you've watched any Command & Conquer YouTuber, they'll mostly tell you never start with a double harvester. You lose too much pressure and it's too easy for your opponent to counter you. Now, I'm going to show you a game and the decks will be on the screen down there. Wrong side again, down there. They'll be on the screen as you can see, and you'll notice that I'm running the Avatar 220 cost nod unit in a very standard mid-range aggro nod deck. And that's because I feel like that is the best way in a lot of circumstances to actually work a tech unit into your deck. I like to go hard and contest the first missile, contest the second missile, and then if I need to, I have this tech unit that can sometimes be brought out, especially in aggro versus aggro matchups, where I think 5 balanced units are pretty good at contesting aggro versus aggro. And if I absolutely need to, in dire circumstances, like contesting the third missile, I can go either double harvester like I did in this game, or just have a tech unit that's slightly lower cost, like a sandstorm for instance, or zone troopers or whatever, and it comes out as like a trump card for the third and final missile, because in a lot of circumstances that tech unit will trade up really well. And if you get to the third missile, you've often got enough time to get there. So I'm going to be showing you the Avatar in action in a deck that really probably shouldn't have the Avatar in it. However, I've been trying to make it work on ladder a little bit just because I like the Avatar. It's just such a cool unit, and you'll get to see it work versus a guy who has got very similar unit levels to me and micros incredibly well. So we'll start off. If you noticed a little blip in the recording, that's because I hit stop recording on my recording software and not play replay on the Command & Conquer Rivals replay that we're looking at. So what I want to start off with here now is that I've gone with a laser trooper opener. This is a generalized defensive start. You're never really going to be super aggressive unless you're just going to push it straight towards their harvester. It deals with attack bike rushes, it deals with tank rushes. The only thing that you might get unstuck with if you go missiles or laser troopers first is if a jump jet trooper comes at your harvester. I responded to his rifleman with my flame troopers. He brought out a rhino, and now what you're going to see is a micro dance between me and him, where I'm trying to put my trying to put my laser troopers in a position where they can deal damage to the rhino but not get caught out by his rifleman. He did a really good Lieutenant Strong Arm turret to stop that dance from happening, and now I'm in a position where I'm actually having to trade unfavorably with my flame troopers into his rhinos, which is why I went for the War Factory just to start getting out the Scorpion tanks. As you can see, I want you guys to pay close attention. I'm going to just pause it here. Pay close attention to the way that he moves his jump jet troopers. He really caused me issues with the way that he was dancing his jump jet troopers over these rocky terrains, putting pressure onto both my harvesters and also my Scorpion tanks. He actually countered and responded very well to what I brought to the table, and he constantly moves those rhinos out and puts the jump jet troopers in and makes it difficult for my Scorpion tanks. So that's what I want you guys. I did it again. I hit stop recording instead of play replay. I need to stop doing that. But I want you guys to keep a close eye on his jump jet troopers, because these really kept him heavily competitive in this game. So you'll see here that I'm just trying to move my Scorpion tank away from those jump jet troopers. I'm trying to put it and micro it back towards the units that it is good at dealing with, which is the rhinos, and every time my Scorpion tank moves over, he moves those jump jet troopers over. Fortunately enough, I brought another rhino out, and or rather the Scorpion out, and his jump jet troopers weren't healthy enough, so they didn't actually get anything positive in terms of trade here. But as you can see, he's very committed to this jump jet trooper maneuver. He saved up a decent amount of Tiberium and has gone for a double jump jet trooper push, which is going to put a lot of pressure onto my Scorpion tanks. Fortunately enough, I managed to just get a Scorpion tank to the top side of the map and get some significant damage off onto his rhino, but because he saved that Tiberium, and this is something that I should talk about very quickly before we move on, he saved that Tiberium. He was able to get a double jump jet trooper out at the same time to contest both Scorpions instead of just working with one jump jet trooper and then another. By having a double jump jet trooper attack at the same time, it meant that I wasn't able to, I had to focus on 2 things at once. I also had 2 counters on the table that I had to deal with immediately, and I didn't have proper time to respond. If he'd sent one after the other, he would have ended up facing flame troopers very quickly. I might not even had anything else to build. He sent them 2 at the same time, and I immediately had to react to both areas being contested on those platforms. So he had a really good first platform push here, and that Tiberium save to get 2 units out at the same time was a really good way of making it difficult for me to respond. So that's something that you guys should consider. Don't always feel the need to slam out unit after unit after unit. Sometimes you might want to save your Tiberium, go for a double unit, and then that puts pressure on your opponent in 2 points at the same time. So as you can see, I'm on a pretty downhill path at this point. I have got jump jet troopers, which deal with my scorpions really well. The rhinos are cleaning up my flame troopers consistently, and overall I'm not having a good time. I need to win this second missile, and something that I have been neglecting quite a lot to deal with the rhinos specifically is my attack bikes. They're quicker than scorpion tanks, they can try and match the movement speed of those jump jets. I also need to start pairing my units together, and this is something that I think I need to talk about in terms of grander scheme tactics with Command & Conquer, and I will do a separate video talking about this, but you need to think about pairing units together, especially when attacking harvesters. This is something that I didn't cover well enough in my double harvester video. Pairing units together is really important for the simple fact that you want to cover the weaknesses of each of your 2 units. So for instance, in the top side of the map, I need to just remember that I'm reversed every time. Top side of the map, you can see I have my attack bikes on the top pad paired with my flame troopers. This is because I'm constantly going to get cycled by those jump jet troopers. I need to pair my attack bikes and make it awkward for him to position his jump jet troopers in a good position to deal with those attack bikes. So I pair my flame troopers and my attack bikes together to make sure that if he does commit his jump jet troopers to my attack bikes, he's going to have to deal with the flame troopers at the same time. Now he obviously can do the same with his rhino and his jump jet troopers, and it comes down to a bit of a micro battle, but that is exactly the way that you want to play, covering each other's unit spaces when pairing them together. So I can start to see the the Predator tanks come out now, and obviously Predator tanks are better than Scorpion tanks in terms of 1v1 potential. Scorpion tanks are quicker, and but less beefy, so obviously going in a head-to-head battle with a Predator tank, I'm going to end up losing. This is the very important part of the game where I now need to win this missile absolutely. And if you were looking from this position right now, you'd think there's no way in hell Excoundrel has got this missile, and I pretty much felt the same way. However, I got a little bit of a bonus when my flame troopers tanked a lot of those scorpion shots when I moved, those predator shots when I moved my scorpion onto that position on the platform. So, with a bit of body blocking at the top side, with those flame troopers and my 2 scorpion tanks taking out the predator, I did enough to get the second missile. I used fanaticism onto those jump jet troopers, and to be honest, his unit selection here, which I'll pause, his unit selection here to contest the second missile was a little bit inadequate. If I saw a scorpion tank holding that middle platform, my first response would not be a Wolverine. Now I guess it's because he wanted to ramp up to that Wolverine, level 13 Wolverines, which deal very easily with the flame troopers. But honestly, there were lots of things he could have done here to at least extend or contest this second missile, including that rhino on the top side of the map going towards at least the back ends of the pads, because those are the areas on my side on the middle pad are not going to be defended, because I want to block this Wolverine from getting in. But as you'll notice, he doesn't do anything. I think he's too busy trying to micro his Predator tank. He's also trying to micro his, or even rather just get his Wolverine into position, and his Predator tank was just not quick enough onto that middle platform. So this is the important part. Look at what I've done now. I've gone double harvester. Now, this is after the second missile. We are 2/3 of the way through the game, if not more, because the third missile charges quicker. And this is the point that I have decided to go double harvester. I had lots of opportunities, I think, throughout this game to potentially throw out another harvester, but this is the point where I felt most comfortable going into a double harvester setup. He was not pressuring my harvesters actively. I had good control. I managed to win the second missile. And now is when I felt safe enough to go into a double harvester position. I'm very lucky that my single harvester that I've had since the start actually survived, by the way. It's on a sliver of HP. But this is the point in the game where I decided to go double harvester, because now that those Wolverines are out, and yes, okay, I could just pump out Scorpions over and over again, but I know that there's going to be issues microing with the jump jet troopers as well, and then Scorpion jump jet trooper into Flamer Scorpion, Wolverine jump jet trooper into Scorpion Flamers. I feel like I just get wrecked every time. So this is why at this point in the game I decided to go for the double harvester build, and now it's about buying enough time to go into the avatar, which is 220 Tiberium. So a lot of this is going to be about simply contesting the platforms as best I can to make sure that I don't lose the missile before I can get my avatar out. It's going to be clutch. When you get an avatar or just a late game unit out, especially when you've got sort of aggro versus aggro matchups with a couple of tech cards in there, this is where you're in a situation where it's going to be very, very squeaky bum time in terms of that single unit at the right time could just win you the game. And that is where I was going with the avatar. I bought enough time to get myself the avatar. It's quicker than the mammoth tank. I get right onto the platform, and he does not have anything in his deck that deals with an avatar properly. 220 Tiberium usage. It's just an incredibly powerful unit. It deals with the jump jet troopers, it deals with all of his vehicles, deals with pretty much any of his infantry. It's just a brilliant, brilliant unit, and it did enough for me to end up being in a great position to win this game when I got the third missile. Now you'll actually notice this with a lot of Tiberium players. When they run tech units, they don't run full tech decks. I want to take Blade, for instance, an incredibly good Command & Conquer Rivals player, one of the best on the server right now, despite having much lower unit levels than a lot of his counterparts. Running a Mammoth tank in what is essentially a fairly standard mid-range aggro GDI deck is something that I've actually done myself. And that's what you kind of note at the top level. No one runs, or very few people run, multiple tech unit decks because they're actually quite hard to make work. What you do run, though, is a very good early mid-level deck, and then you have a tech unit in as a surprise factor to help you win, especially in the aggro versus aggro matchups that you manage to take to the third missile. And that's what happened for me in this particular circumstance. I was able to do that right there. So if you're thinking of running tech units, it's not impossible. A lot of people will tell you that it's just bad to run tech in Command & Conquer because it's much, much harder to get tech units onto the field, which it is. It is much, much harder to get tech units onto the field, especially things like the Mammoth Tank and the Avatar, which cost 220. However, if you include them as a one-of in potentially a mid-range or an aggro deck, and you don't have them as the primary focus of the deck, they are there to be a trump card in the later stages of the game, I think that's a really viable way to make those particular units work. And I love using units in that particular way. So I hope you guys go out and experiment with some tech units, just including one of them in these kind of aggro type decks as a way of getting that edge in the later stages of the game versus other aggressive type decks. I'll see you soon.